Again, for opening statements, you get 2 minutes to speak. According to ballot order, Mr. Williams, you're up first. You've got 2 minutes.
Good evening, Central Texas Republicans. Great to be in Gainesville this evening. The 2024 red wave is going to be a whole lot like a big old orange Trump train going across the country. We need to get on board and give President Trump an America First Congress to work with. Let's send a MAGA Texan to Washington. Our current representative is not America First. He's not MAGA. And I know this because in 2016, we gave our ruling class Republicans government. And they chose to go on a snipe hunt looking for mythical Russians. Let's leave the rhinos at the train station this time. We don't need them on the train with us. I am a MAGA Texan. I've got patriotism in my DNA. I'm a son of the American Revolution. My favorite colors are red, white, and blue. I'm Mike Williams. I've got God in my heart and the Constitution in my head. I rushed into burning buildings for a living. I've got the guts to fight for you. I will help Trump make America great again. Let's get her done.
Mac Latimer, 2 minutes.
Sorry, my name is Mac Latimer. I'm a West Point graduate, a combat veteran, a small business owner, the former Bell County Republican chair, and I'm your candidate for Congress. What got me involved in politics is seeing that our army is broken. Our army is filled with corruption, bureaucracy, and wokeism. As Congress has turned it into a social experiment, rather than making it the organization that can fight and win America's wars. And our soldiers deserve better, but also our country deserves better. Our country deserves an organization that can actually do its job and can focus on being the best organization in the world. But that's not the only thing broken about our country. Our founders had 2 principles in the Constitution that they put in there to defeat tyranny. One was the separation of powers. We were supposed to have an executive branch that enforces laws, a legislative branch that makes the laws, and a judicial branch that adjudicates the laws. These days, we have one branch in government, and that's the bureaucracy. They enforce, make laws through regulations, and then they actually adjudicate laws through Article 1 courts. If you have a problem with the bureaucracy, you don't go to an Article 3 court to dispute that. You go to another bureaucracy who then makes the judgment whether the bureaucrats were right. That's not how it was designed. That's called tyranny. Then we have federalism. That's the second one. The federal government was supposed to handle foreign policy, that's trade, defense, securing the border, and immigration. And the states were supposed to handle domestic policy. That's broken and flipped. We need to fix that and bring us back to the Constitution. Thank you. My name is Matt Latimer. I love your vote.
Mr. Garapati, 2 minutes, Brendan.
Good evening, Gatesville. My name is Abraham Garapati, running for U.S. Congress for the 3rd time in the Republican primary. I'm a businessman, not a politician. I'm the only candidate in the race not taking any campaign contributions ever, not taking a salary if I go to Congress. I'm doing this because we have the most incompetent government in the history of our nation that's not working for us anymore. Texas is the last stand for freedom. If we lose Texas to the Democrats, America becomes a socialist country. I lived in a socialist country for 25 years of my life. I know what it is to live under socialism. Folks, America is under attack. We need to act right now. Socialism is nothing but an equal spread of pain, poverty, and misery. I lived in a very poverty-stricken society, and I had difficulty even eating food at the night. We didn't have food. We didn't have food on a lot of nights. I studied hard, was an all-India topper, came here on a one-way flight ticket, and became a successful businessman here. That's why America is under attack, and we need to get rid of socialism here. If I go to Congress, I'm going to educate all the liberal brainwashed kids in our colleges and universities. Nothing is free. Somebody is paying for it. There's value to hard work. Government is not a solution to our problems. Government is the problem. And that's the battle I'm fighting here, folks. We have the highest crime in the nation today. We have the highest number of illegal immigrants coming here. We have the highest number of COVID deaths in the last few years. We have the highest number of highest inflation today and highest interest rates. This is what we are fighting against. This is the most anti-American government we have ever had. This government is doing everything against the American people. That's what I'm fighting for here. Please join my battle against this government. We need to get somebody in Congress who can go there, fight for you, make this the best country on the planet. Again, thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Garibay. Mr. Abel.
Hello, my name's William Abel. Most of y'all in here know me. So I'm a retired combat veteran. I did 2 combat tours in Iraq, did 2 tours in Korea, I did 3 years as a drill sergeant. I was also the former senior vice commander over at the VFW right here in Port Hill County. There's a lot of reasons why I'm running because there's too many issues. I don't have enough time right now in 2 minutes to list them all. One of the main ones that's really personal to me is the COVID vaccine mandates. So in 2021, well, my wife had autoimmune hepatitis, so her immune system was trying to attack her liver. She needed to get a transplant. In 2021, she was told that she had to get a COVID shot, or else she'd be taken off the transplant list and put on hospice care. So we contacted every elected official we could think of. Not one of them, in the 2 weeks we called every day and emailed every day, would return our calls. So it got to the point where she had no choice. She went and she got the COVID vaccination. The problem is when you're on the transplant list, they give you a score between 6 and 40. She was at an 18, had been there for years. After the COVID shots, her score jumped to 32. I was taking her in and out of the ER every week, sometimes multiple times a week. So she almost died. Luckily, she got her transplant in February of 22. She's doing better now. She still has some complications. But the fact that these representatives are supposed to be represent us and answer our calls, talk to us when we need help. John Carter, the current congressman, he was in town on Tuesday. He decided not to show up to come to the debates. He's here tonight. Well, he's not here, but he's back in the district. Why won't he come out and talk to the constituents? So, I don't know. If y'all get an answer to that one, please let me know.
First question. A large portion of the district is made up by rural communities and agricultural families, notably Port Hill County. As the 2023 Farm Bill has been delayed and is unlikely to pass this year due to the impending general election, what are the top 3 priorities you have for representing the farmers and ranchers of Congressional District 31? Mr. Latimer, yours first.
Yeah, so we've actually had a federalization of the agricultural industry. Most of agricultural regulation lies at the federal level and not at the state level. That means the same entity is regulating Colorado, who has no water ever. It's regulating Florida, who gets rain at exactly 2 p.m. every day. It's regulating California, and it's also regulating Texas. That's not how our agricultural system should exist. Our agricultural system, we need to push agricultural and environmental regulation down to the states. Get rid of the EPA, get rid of the Department of Agriculture, and let states decide how agriculture is going to run in their state. And I have a sneaking suspicion that Texas will use freedom and free market principles to design the agricultural system in our great state. Thank you.
Mr. Garibay.
What a beautiful county we have as Port Hill County, and we need to support our farmers. Today we have the highest inflation ever. A year back, you could go and buy a Subway sandwich for $5 a foot long. Today, a decent meal costs more than $15. Americans are suffering with these high prices. Farmers are not able to afford the fertilizers that they need for raising their crops. This is the sad fact of America today, that inflation has doubled and tripled. And on top of it, we have a government that doesn't understand how this country works. We have the highest interest rates ever. They doubled our interest rates in 6 months. Small business owners and farmers are suffering with not able to pay these high interest loans to the banks today. This is what happens when we elect incompetent leaders to office. That is the change we need here. We need somebody who can go there, fight against the system, fight against the government, I'm a small business owner, and I'm also a farmer. I have 200 cattle in my ranch. I do farming and I love farming on the weekends, I do that. Who do I talk to when I have a problem with my business? Who do I call? There is nobody who answers my phone. I tried recalling the Federal Reserve multiple times, asking them not to raise the interest rates. It's affecting our company, our country. Not just me, not just the small guys. Today, Rivian is the electric car maker. They cut 10% of their jobs because of the high interest rates. Yesterday, Elon Musk said they can't sell enough Tesla cars because of the high interest rates. This is what is happening with the incompetent Federal Reserve that needs to be impeached and needs to be gotten rid of. All of this is possible if we had a congressman who stands here and answers our questions and responds to his constituents and take care of them like me, and he can go to Congress and fight for you. That's why I'm in this race. Please give me a chance. I will be that congressman who will fight for you 24/7. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abel.
So there's quite a few things we can do. First off, one thing we can do is restrict and deny any foreign country from purchasing American agricultural land. So I don't know how much y'all know about it, but China owns over 400,000 acres of American agricultural land. Canada owns over 12 million acres. What's Congress done about it? Not a thing. How many people even knew that? Most people don't even know these stats. Another big issue we had, and we've all experienced here in Texas, are the droughts, right? East Coast, they had an abundance of water this year, right? So why don't we go ahead and look into some kind of solution, right? I'm not saying this is the end-all perfect solution, but it's something to look into. It's build a pipeline from the East Coast to the West Coast, right? East Coast, they get an abundance of water. We can send that over to the areas that have the droughts. Go ahead and help them out. That way the farmers can go ahead and actually use that water to use on their crops. All right? But no one's ever thought about it. Yes, it may not work, but who's looked into it? Has anybody looked into anything to help these areas of the country that have these droughts on a regular basis? We've had 2 years in a row now. You know, I'm just tired of the inaction and nothing getting done. If you'd like, you can go ahead and look up the Department of Agriculture actually lists how much land is owned by these foreign countries. They do it, they're supposed to do it yearly, but under the Biden administration, they decided not to go ahead and list it in 22. However, they said it was about an 8% increase in foreign countries owning of the agricultural land right here in the United States. So,
Mr. Williams, you have 2 minutes.
Part of my resume that is long is I grew up in Beaumont and I farmed rice for 10 seasons. Now, I hadn't been behind the wheel of John Deere since the spring of '86, but I remember the language, I remember the issues, I remember government farm subsidy programs quite well. So I know how to talk to farmers. You ask them what the heck they want. I'm not going to tell you how to grow your damn crop or raise your cow. I'm not going to let AOC bang on you because your cow's fart. I'm going to find out what you need, and we'll see if we can get it done. And, you know, William, when William got in the race, I looked up some of his stuff, that raw water transfer thing he was just talking about. Farming rice, I'm very familiar with canal systems. Rice takes a hell of a lot of water to grow. Well, in southeast Texas, we got a hell of a lot of water. So I've been kind of noodling on the raw water transfer system. People in Belton are all up in arms about their water going down to Stillhouse in Salado. People in Salado are all up in arms about their water going down to Georgetown. In Georgetown, people all up in arms about their water going down to Round Rock. It's an issue, folks. It's a big issue. And when you get up in the morning and you can't brush your teeth and you can't flush the toilet, that ain't the time. It's a little off path from agriculture, but you gotta have water to grow crops, you gotta have water to raise livestock. Thank you.
Mr. Abel, you were directly referenced, so we'll give you 30 seconds.
I'm good.
You're good? All right. I don't know about the audience members, but I'm the one with the microphone. I don't feel like my question was directly addressed. So we're going to give you each 30 seconds. That's 10-second a point. What are your top 3 priorities to support Congressional District 31's farmers and ranchers? Mr. Giripati, we'll start with you.
the first thing I will do if I am elected to Congress is reduce the interest rates to afford so that farmers can afford their input subsidies and input fertilizers and all. And it's an open market. I am all for open market systems. So I'll do the only thing I'll do is reduce the interest rates so that they can run their operations.
Guys, top three real quick. Eliminate EPA, eliminate the Department of Agriculture, and get the Army Corps of Engineers out of managing water. I do want to say, I want to show you the contrast of the candidates on stage. My three opponents all talked about how they can use government to make things better. That's not a conservative principle. We need to get back to the Constitution and shrink government. Thank you.
Mr. Williams, we're gonna finish this, then we'll give you each 30 seconds.
Using government to make things better, I don't remember saying that. But anyhow, all right, tax credits, and so, for investments. I know how much tractors and combines cost. And instead of depreciating that out over a 10-year period, let's get credit right away. What do you need? Primarily government off your back, and how can we help you? I mean, mostly it's just get the hell out of the way.
Mr. Abel, 30 seconds.
Well, first off, getting water to the farmers that need it to grow the crops does address an issue, especially since we had two crops. Second thing I do is I go ahead and offer a program, instead of giving food stamps out, which are regularly abused, go ahead and allow the farmers to go ahead and donate a certain amount of food, and then they can go ahead and get tax credits for the food that they donate, and then the food can be delivered to the people in need directly, instead of giving them food stamps where they go ahead and they sell it for over what they are, for less than what it's worth. And
Thank you, sir. Now you've got 30 seconds to respond to Mr. Latimer's comment.
I don't know where the person on the stage sees more government, but if you need to work in between states, then yes, you're gonna have to go ahead and go through the federal government because you're not gonna be able to get all the states together. Actually, you can. It's called the federal government. So yes, if you need to get water from the East Coast to go ahead and bring it all the way out here to Texas, then yes, you're gonna have to use the federal government.
Mr. Williams, 30 seconds to respond if you care to.
Nah, I'm good.
Mr. Garapati.
I'm a farmer and I'm a small business owner. I'm the person in this whole world who supports the smallest possible government. So I never said I want more government. More government is never the solution for us. Power to the people, and the government that serves the people, of the people, by the people, for the people is what I support.
Next question. According to a recent report by the Federation of American Immigration Reform, approximately 16.8 million illegal immigrants are in the United States, an increase from 15.5 million in January of 2022. What is your plan to secure the southern border, and what is your plan, if any, to remove the nearly 17 million illegal immigrants in the country today? Two-part question. Mr. Garapati, we start with you.
First of all, I'm an immigrant who came here legally. I stood in line for 15 years to get my citizenship. I know what is the process that the immigration is. We all love immigrants. We all want legal immigration. We don't want any sort of illegal immigration. That is what we are all against. I'm going to be the first one to propose a border wall. Wall only costs like $5 billion. I don't understand what is the problem in getting that built. That is what I'm focused on if I'm elected to Congress, work with the president and make sure a wall is built. Nobody comes here illegally. And then so that we can make it easier for legal immigrants to be here. And the problem with illegal immigration is there are a lot of people coming in and we don't know who they are, we don't know they're terrorists, or we don't know no vetting is happening. And the second problem with the illegal immigrants is that we are paying, you are American taxpayer is paying for their hotels, for their hospitals, for their air flights, and for all of that, you're the ones who are paying that. That's not on their schools. We are not the ones who should be paying for all that, and that's not fair to us. So no illegal immigration, make it easier for legal immigrants to come here. And then the second part of the question is,
What do you do with the ones that are here?
good question, there are a lot of illegals out here. We need to have a path to citizenship for those people who are here. And if there are people who we can't give a path to citizenship, deport them to their original countries of origin.
Mr. Latimer.
Yeah, so talking about the border. So one, we need to actually build a physical wall. But we have a saying in the Army, an obstacle without observation is just a speed bump. No matter how tall or thick or deep that wall goes, if there's no one watching that wall, people are just gonna cut through it, get a ladder to climb over it, or dig under it. That's not an actual solution. So we need to actually fund Border Patrol to the extent that they can actually surveil the entire wall. Now, going from that, then we need to disincentivize immigrants from coming to the border at all. Right now, people are flooding to the border because that's how our asylum system works. Our asylum system, under the Biden administration and Mayorkas, is accepting asylum petitions at the border, and then, we've all heard the term catch and release, saying, hey, okay, you can live in the country until we get to your case, and it takes about an average of 10 years to get to one of these cases. That's crazy. So once we have solved the immigration and border problem, then we can talk about, illegal status in the country. And you know what? Every single one of them needs to start paying taxes today. And then we need to get them through the system. The federal government needs to fund getting them through the system rather than just saying, oh yeah, that's a state's problem. It's not a state's problem. Immigration is a federal problem, and we need to get them through the system. So if we say, yeah, you broke the law, then they get punished. They get deported, or we follow the consequences of the law. Thank you.
William.
Aye. Securing the border, physical infrastructure, technological support, and personnel. Lock her down. Our neighbors to the south, our neighbors to the north, they step up and they help in that effort, or we're cutting their butts off. We pump billions into both of those countries. All right, disincentivize the folks that are here. Anybody that entered the country after January 1, 2021, one-way plane ticket home. You're out of here. Y'all remember when Trump said, hey, let's do something about the dreamers? And the ruling class on the left and right went apoplectic? We don't solve problems in Washington. What the hell is Trump talking about? Let's put that leverage back on the table. Like I said in my opening, let's leave the dadgum rhinos at the train station. We don't need them anymore. They're not about solving problems.
Mr. Abel.
So as far as immigration go, or the border, several things we need to do. First off, we need to get rid of catch and release. I'll say, Maine and Mexico worked, but I'd be okay with catch and deport. If you come into this country illegally, guess what? You broke our federal law, you go back home. We're spending a lot of money shipping them all over the U.S. right now. Let's send them back home. They can go back home, make a bologna sandwich, and think about what they did. We can also go ahead and build a wall. Now, the wall's not going to go ahead and be a be-all and know-all. But you build a wall that acts as a barrier, acts as a speed bump. You use the technology available for early warning detection. That way, if you have a border patrol agent 5-10 miles down on the border, they got time to get to that sector to go ahead and either apprehend them as they try and cross over illegally, or prevent them from crossing altogether. Another major thing that we absolutely have to do is actually enforce the laws on the books. Everybody looks to make more laws and more laws and more laws, but when we're not enforcing laws already on the books, what difference does it make? That's all the time I need for that.
With the national debt currently over $34 trillion and rising, over the last couple of years, Congress has brought back pork barrel spending, or earmark, known in the House as congressional directed funding. Do you support such spending allocation by each member of Congress? And what are your plans, if any, to tackle lowering the national debt? Two-part questions, Mr. Abel will start.
So as far as earmarks go, I've been speaking about this from the beginning of my campaign. No, I do not support them. Just so you know, last time this bill we passed, when we had a bunch of earmarks in there, some ones I can remember off the top of my head were $3.6 million for Michelle Obama hiking trail in Georgia, $3 million for an LGBTQ plus museum in New York City, and then $2 million for Great Blacks and Wags in Baltimore City. Now, these states want these things. States can fund them. That's fine. private they want to funnel private donations, that's fine. But we should not be wasting our federal tax dollars on these pet projects for congressional districts. We spent $14.8 billion in the omnibus bill for customs and border security, but we spent a total of $15 billion on these earmarks. So yes, I'm absolutely guessing. As far as going ahead and decreasing the federal debt, we need to go ahead and cut a lot of fat. There's so much fat in the federal government right now. Prime example is in the defense budget for the 2023 omnibus bill. They had $8.6 million set aside for gender advisory programs. They had $120 million set aside for environmental infrastructure, and then over $40 million to change the names of the bases. We have living quarters on Fort Hood right now, or Fort Cavazos, or whatever you want to call it, that has black mold and living conditions. What they do is they get white paint, they paint over it, and they think that solves the problem. We have a Department of Education paying $68 billion a year, and I'll tell you, since it was implemented in 1980, education has done nothing but got worse, just like everything else that the federal government gets involved in. We need to get rid of the UN, the WEF, we need to decrease the IRS budget. There's a lot of budgets out there we need to decrease, and I think my time's about up.
Mr. Williams, 2 minutes.
I would work diligently to end earmarks. I was having lunch in Marble Falls the other day with some Republicans down there, and I asked them about the pedestrian bridge that John Carter got them. $15 million, I think it was. And they told me, bridge, we have 8 million illegals bum rushing the border. Our 401k is lower than Biden's IQ. We don't need no stinking bridge. So yeah, in the earmarks. You know, politicians like to do that, say, look what I did. And, yeah, I'm watching what you did. All right, the debt in the wasteful spending, break the budget apart into its component parts. With the omnibus stuff, that's got to stop. That began in '93. It's got to stop. 30 years of that crap's enough. Debt to GDP. We got to get the economy rolling. Get the foot off the neck of you folks, the producers. Get the foot off the necks of the energy industry who fuels our economy. And let's get this thing roaring. Get the economy roaring. Stop the BS spending. And then let the American people do what they do. You guys rock and roll. Y'all know how to make money. You just need to govern the hell out of your way.
Mr. Latimer, 2 minutes.
Yeah, so this is a problem bigger than what we're all talking about up here. Every debate you've heard in Congress right now is talking about only 30% of the budget. The discretionary spending budget is only 30% of what we spend every year. That's the stuff that gets debated in Congress. That's the stuff that they won't even cut 1 penny out. What they do is they say, we're going to decrease the increase in the budget, and then we're going to call that a cut. No, we're on the road in 2032 that if we cut that entire budget, the entire 30%, that includes the Department of Defense, and we still won't balance the budget. We need to talk about fundamental structural reform of the federal government. And that kind of gets to what I started talking about in my opening statement, federalism. Anything that deals with the economy or domestic politics needs to be pushed down to the states. I mentioned the EPA, I mentioned the Department of Agriculture, but also the Department of Energy, the Department of Commerce, HUD, right? Most departments in the federal government deal with domestic issues. We need to push that down, and then guess what? We need to take that tax money and put it towards actually paying down the debt so we can actually prosper as a country. Thank you.
Mr. Beardline.
How many of you know how much interest we paid just today on the national debt? We just paid $2 billion in interest on the 34 trillion debt we have. Our federal government makes $7 trillion a year as income. If we pay most of that in debt payments, our kids and our grandkids have no future. All of you balance your budget at your home. You make $100, you spend $100. How is it fair that the federal government doesn't even have the common sense that they make $100 and they're spending almost $1,000? They're borrowing the money and funding them. So where is the money going? My fundamental problem is in the accountability. We just when we left Afghanistan, if you folks remember a couple of years back, we left $80 billion worth of your money with the Taliban. The greatest fighter equipment, we just left it with the Taliban. Whose money is that? That's your money. There is no accountability in this federal government. You need somebody, a businessman. I'm a businessman. We need somebody who go there, fight for every penny that the government is spending, and make sure they don't waste your money. Millions of Americans died of COVID. Nobody knows what is the cure of this COVID or where it came from, or nobody is least bothered. But you know how much we are spending on the CDC? There is a department called CDC and we are spending billions of dollars on it. What is the CDC doing? That is my question. Where this government is bloated. This is bloated beyond belief. But nobody is there to ask them the questions. Again, Biden is sleeping. Harris is shopping. Kamala Harris is shopping. But somebody has to ask these questions on your behalf. And that's the whole reason you're electing a congressman. And unfortunately, our congressman is nowhere to be seen. That's why you need somebody who can go there, fight for you, and balance our budget, get our country back on track, and make sure we pay off our national debt by a certain time, so that our kids and our grandkids have a future. Thank you.
So having you gentlemen answered both questions, we're going to go back and a quick yes and no for the first. If you were elected to Congress representing District 31, would your office participate in what's currently called congressional directed funding, or earmarked dollars that can be applied for by nonprofits in the district as well as local municipalities? Just a yes or no. Would you participate if you were elected in that program?
Yes.
No.
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 Thank you. Next question. If elected, you'd be a freshman congressman where seniority mandates access to committees and information. While many think they can get elected to Congress and change the world, or at least the nation, the wheels of government are inherently slow. What are actual obtainable goals you have to represent the district in your first term? Mr. Williams, we'll start with you.
Shine a light on the swamp, all the bugs, the snakes, the slimy little crawly things. And this stuff about freshmen, congressmen, you folks are not freaking underclassmen. Y'all are not second-class citizens. I'm not going to go up there and kiss anybody's ring or anybody's ass. I'm going to represent you as you deserve to be represented. I'm not going to bow to anybody. Expose the crowd, folks. Take the case to the people. I'm not going to be able to convince Schumer or McConnell of anything. They're done for. Take the case to the people and let the people know exactly how it is, and then let them decide whether they're had enough.
Mr. Pierpont.
Folks, America is suffering today with the highest inflation, highest interest rates, record high number of COVID deaths, record crime, record number of illegal immigrants coming into the country, record number of spam calls that we are getting on your phone, the most scams against our senior citizens. American mothers are suffering with the highest number of fentanyl drugs that are coming in. And we are having the highest number of illegal immigrants coming into the country, and with them, we are having terrorists and the drugs coming into the border. Folks, our country was regarded as the greatest country on the planet by everybody on the world. Not anymore. We can't take it for granted. We need to work hard. We need to keep our country the best in the world. And for that, we need to fight for our rights, for our freedoms, and for our liberties. Unfortunately, the other side is very powerful. The Democrats have the money and the media. They have a purpose, and they are trying to destroy our nation, take it down the drain. And that's what the battle is here, folks. Whether you want socialism or whether you want capitalism. Socialism failed across the world. No country has succeeded in socialism. Every country wants to be like America. But our fellow Democrats like Nancy Pelosi, AOC, and Bernie Sanders want to make America into a failed socialist state like Cuba or Venezuela. That is the battle we are fighting here. And my priority is to go to Congress and fight for you, fight for the American people, fight for the American farmers, fight for the American mothers, American teenagers, fight for every single senior citizen, American senior citizen. Make sure we protect this country, these freedoms and these liberties that were given to us by millions of Americans died for us to get these freedoms and liberties. That's what I'll be fighting for. Make this the greatest country, not only in technology, innovation, and jobs and prosperity. This should be the best and make America first again. Thank you all.
Mr. Ladner, 2 minutes.
Yeah, so obviously I'll be fighting for the big pictures that I have been talking about. There are 3 things that I want to focus on that are actually really attainable things. So 1 is going to be support passing HR 2. There are already people that are going to be much more influential than I am trying to do that. 2, I'm going to eliminate a federal department. Now, there are 98 federally funded departments, so there's a lot of them, and some of them have minuscule, budgets like, $1 million or so. So they're not all the Department of Education. But what we need to do is we need to start showing that it's possible. So eliminate a federal department is number 2, and number 3 is work to get something reformed in the military. It's not going to be the biggest thing, but if we can get PCS reform through the military to benefit both our soldiers and our military as a whole, that would be a win, and then we can build on those wins to start moving in the right direction. Thank you.
Mr. Abel.
Alright, so we can start with the military veterans, actually. So the VA, right? Every member of Congress wants to go ahead and support a bill with the veterans or active duty military on it. Go ahead, a simple one is go ahead, instead of appointing the director of the VA, allow the veterans to actually vote on who's going to go ahead and be the national director and the district director in the district they're in. Let them have a say in their own health care. You go ahead and you can also knock out a lot of the crazy stuff in the defense budget and actually give the military and the Department of Defense what they need. I'm pretty sure they don't need gender advisory programs. I'm pretty sure their biggest concern right now is not environmental structures. So that's another thing you can do. But I'm going to also fight in my first term for term limits. Because I'll tell you, if you don't get term limits done, and even if you can't get it done, you need to try and get it up for a vote to make everyone take a stand on it. Because if you look back at the last 40 years, everybody's ran on the same issues, but yet nobody's ever fought to solve them issues because they needed to run for their reelection. And obviously going ahead and cut a lot of the wasteful spending. Now, yes, I'm talking about the Department of Education, I'm talking about the IRS, I'm talking about the UN. Will it get done first term? Probably not, but you need to go ahead and start anywhere you can get the budget decrease, you need to start doing it. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to look at everything, figure out where I can get the most support and start decreasing that budget so we can finally start taking better care of the American taxpayer. And that includes no more funding for Ukraine or Israel until we actually start doing something here. And I'll actually vote for the people here in District 31 and not for my...
Thank you, Mr. Abel. Final question for the evening. As your major opponent in this primary race is the incumbent Congressman John Carter, who served since 2003 and sits on the powerful Appropriations Committee, has been endorsed by both former President Donald Trump and Governor Greg Abbott, has spent over $500,000 this campaign cycle and has more than $600,000 on hand. According to Open Secrets, a nonprofit dedicated to tracking campaign expenditures, how do you plan to surpass the incumbent and your fellow challengers to be the Republican nominees for our congressional district? Mr. Lattimore, we'll start with you.
Yes, this is about a few things. This is about having the right message. We need someone who is not just saying the buzzwords of what people want to hear, is not just touting the Republican line, but is talking about real problems and real solutions to fix these problems. So that's the first thing. You have to have the knowledge of the issues and actually talk about it. The second thing is we're doing this grassroots. And I'm not talking about like, oh, we went out and hired a consultant who called themselves grassroots and we're letting him run everything. No, this is a mouth-to-mouth campaign. This is a campaign where we have earned the support of members of the community who then tell other members of the community to join in the fight. And that is how we're doing things. A network of grassroots people talking about needing change and actually fighting for a solution. Thank you.
Mr. Abel.
So what we're doing is going out. We've hit up every meeting you can imagine. Walk around in the town squares and talk to people out and about. Go up to the business owners, small business owners especially, and talk to the owners there. Find out what issues they have. We've done block walking in every county. And obviously we can't hit every door. I wish I could, but I'm only one man. But we talk to the people that have historically been ignored. We talk to the people that they can't donate to us because they can barely go ahead and survive day to day, month to month. So we talk to them, we listen to their concerns. We go ahead and we explain to them what the message is. But we don't just go ahead and talk to the people that are underserved. We talk to the people that are the big donors. But we do something different. We don't ask for donations from anybody. I am not in this campaign on one fundraiser. Why? Because one, I'm not going to let someone else say, oh, well, remember we gave you $3,000, now you have to do this for us. No, because you know how much it costs to come out here and talk to people? $0. Donations are great and everything if you get them, but at the end of the day, what it is going out and actually talking to the people, explaining who you are, what you stand for, what you believe, and then word of mouth. But you got to put in the work too. So like I said, we've been out here, hitting the town squares, we've been hitting the small businesses, talking to people in the street, just walking up and down the street, been hitting up the meetings, and we've been doing a lot of block walking and knocking on individual doors. So that's how we're doing it, and at the end of the day, we'll find out March 5th if it was successful or not.
Mr. Williams, 2 minutes.
October 22nd, 2018, I was in Houston in the Toyota Center when Trump read John's name off of a list of incumbents who were in trouble of losing in the midterms of 2018. I was sitting right across the arena from the VIP section watching John take a nap. The guy next to him, hey, John, he's fixing to call your name. You got to be able to stand up and wave. Okay. Trump couldn't pick John Carter out of the lineup. That endorsement doesn't mean squat. It's 5.5 years old for one thing. Doesn't mean squat. You give me 1 minute with Trump, I don't need his endorsement. I just need him to quit doing that crap. People are handing him lists and he's reading them. Bad idea. Okay. The money thing. Matthew 5:15. You put a candle on its stand and it gives light to all in the house. If folks on this stage have lit a light in your head, for heaven's sake, share it with somebody. Say, hey, you know what? That guy's not half bad, or that guy's a jackass. But dadgummit, share it with somebody. That's how you overcome Goliath. David just picked up a handful of stones, whooped his ass, and cut his head off. Goliath can't be beat, and John Carter ain't no Goliath. I'm mad as hell.
Mr. Gary Clark. 2 minutes.
Folks, how many of you remember Valley Forge? Our greatest first president, George Washington, and his army didn't even have shoes to walk in the snow, but they won the battle against the British. That is the history of the country we are fighting for. If we think there is nobody else other than 82-year-olds who can be governing us, like a Joe Biden, and John Carter is all older than Joe Biden, folks. If you think they are the best in the country after sliced bread, nobody can even save us. God save America. We need to get rid of these people who are not doing anything for us. My concern is my country. I love my country more than anything else. My country is going down the drain. I don't care whether it's John Carter or Joe Biden. They're ruining my country. They're destroying our country right in front of our eyes. And as far as the money is concerned, I promised I'll never take any campaign contributions. And I'll be the first congressman who will win this election without taking any contributions, and I'll show it to the nation that it can be done. How? I walked more than 20,000 homes, I knocked on their doors. What was I doing since morning? 9 o'clock I was standing outside polling booths, talking to people, asking for their vote. If you think whoever is the best candidate between all of us, please give us a chance. But in my 3rd time running against John Carter, never vote for him. I'm not talking to you as a voter, because he is so arrogant. Like he doesn't even show up here. I have never seen a congressman running away from their own people. A congressman should be someone who should be facing you every day and fighting for you, talking to you, and not running away like this. He is in town today and he refuses to show up here. What? And this has been happening for the 3 times that I've run against him. Never has he participated in a single debate. That is taking you for granted, and please don't grant these arrogant people like John Carter and Joe Biden a chance. Thank you all.
Thank you, gentlemen. The follow-up, like we asked you in Copper's Cove earlier this week, in yes or no format. Only one of you is going to potentially move to a runoff if there is one. If so, there's only going to be one Republican nominee. This is the only race on the ballot that we've highlighted in the debate that has a Democrat nominee. If you are not the Republican nominee, will you support the Republican nominee for this general election? Yes or no, Mr. Garofalo?
Yes, sir, my party is important.
Yeah, just a yes. Yes or no?
I'll vote for John.
Well, we don't know if John's going to be the nominee. I'm just asking if you will be the
I'll vote for
nominee.
the nominee.
I will not vote for John Carter.
Change my answer to no. I will not automatically vote if it's not.
Thank you. Just so everybody knows, we've got a recorded flip-flop between the 2 debates this week. So, Mr. Abel, I'm just giving you a hard time.
No, you call my name so I get 30
That's fine.
seconds.
Okay.
So, I was asked this question in Copper's Cove. So I went ahead and Mike Williams was sitting right there, so he knows. But I went ahead and thought about it, kind of, I'm like, I don't know, they're like, answer please. I'm like, yeah. I thought about it, and no, I will not automatically support the winner in the Republican primary. So, if there are some people up here on the stage I would vote for, but there are some people I will not. And that's why I went ahead and changed. Actually, I had something.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Williams, you were referenced.
Reference, you folks are voting for a United States congressman, not a freaking lapdog that's gonna yap when somebody holds up a biscuit. I will not support a rhino ever again. They're betrayers. There are people on this stage I vote for, but I won't vote for Carter.
Thank you. As no chance for Congress submitted cross-examination questions, we'll move to closing statement. You each have 1 minute. Ms. Grable, you're first.
So there's a lot of issues facing this country, and just about everybody that you've seen here tonight, we all see the same issues. So we got the border. Obviously, that's a huge issue right now. You have energy independence. We have more recoverable oil in the U.S. right now than any other country in the world. The Second Amendment is constantly under attack. It's not just by liberals, you also have it under attack by conservatives that want red flag laws and gun registration, the vaccine mandate, the tax code. I mean, half of us getting taxed to death. The economy's a mess. We've talked about the wasteful spending and the national debt. You got little boys, being told that, hey, you can be a little girl, and they're going out and they're getting drugs to do this. This stuff needs to be stopped. Veteran issues and military issues, I'll tell you, here's a plethora of that. Talk to me after this, we can go more in detail and in depth with all the issues that are important to me. Thank you.
Mr. Williams?
Thomas Jefferson was 33 years old when he wrote the Declaration of Independence. AOC is 32 and dumber than a sack of doorknobs. Character and purpose, folks. Character and purpose. Joe Biden is an 81-year-old POS that enriched his family and himself by selling us out. President Trump, a 77-year-old billionaire businessman whose net worth went down because he put America first. Character and purpose. I'm Mike Williams. I will put America first. I will help President Trump make America great again. We are one nation under God.
Mr. Ladner, you have a minute.
So we're going down the dark road right now. It seems like we are going so fast towards the edge of the cliff that there is absolutely no way we can stop. But let me tell you, we can imagine a better future, and it's really not that far off. So a couple of years ago, a bunch of academics got together and they were like, okay, let's see how we can change the United States Constitution to make it better. So you got a whole bunch of liberal people doing all that stuff, but there was one of the conservatives that said, Really, the only thing I would change is add to the end of each line, and I mean it. The solution to our problems isn't some complicated thing that a PhD needs to figure out. We just need to follow the rules. Follow the Constitution, bring the federal government back down to size, and if you agree with that, I'm your candidate, I would love your support, and I would really love.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Garapati, 1 minute for closing.
I just had a friend recently visit me from outside the country. He said, how come America is not the shining city on the hill anymore? They have made America into a shining slum on a hill. That hurt me so much that I promise I'm going to make sure we will get better days ahead and we will change America for the better. American farmers are suffering, American moms are suffering, American small business owners. Just because of that incompetent leaders that we have elected to office, we need people who can go there, fight for you, just like how we had previous generations that fought for us in different wars and made this the greatest country on the planet, protecting our liberties, protecting our freedoms. And that's what is the battle here. And I promise you, if I'm elected to Congress, I'll work tirelessly to make this a government that works for the people, of the people, by the people, and serves you, and not the other way around. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mr. Garapati. Thank you. Round of applause to the congressional candidates. Thank you, gentlemen.